One of the reasons I like to watch what billionaires own, whether it's in their own trusts or the stakes that they own in companies, is it can tell us a lot about where they have conviction about where the market is going in the future and where there's ultimately value to be had. One of the interesting portfolios to watch is actually the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which publicly reports which stock it owns each quarter. Now, this isn't Bill Gates or Melinda Gates' individual holdings in stocks. Those don't need to be reported to the public because that's individual holdings. So unless they meet criteria where you need to report what you own out of a public company, they can own whatever they want without reporting it. Gates has stakes in companies like the Four Seasons, owns a ton of land in the United States, but the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation does need to report those assets. And it's fascinating to see that over 82% of the portfolio is held in just 4 stocks. 3 of those have actually been donated a lot, particularly by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, but another one is just a steady company that it appears to be one of the stocks that they're buying with the foundation. So I want to go through what this portfolio looks like, why it's so concentrated, and what Gates and the people running the foundation may be seeing in these stocks. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content, and thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. The first thing to look at is just the portfolio overall. And this is information that comes from filings with the SEC that are done each quarter. What foundations like this and hedge funds, mutual funds need to do is they need to report what their holdings are at the end of the quarter. So the calendar quarter, this one's Q4 2023, and then that's due 45 days later. So this would have been reported around February 15th. And you can see that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust has a $42.27 billion portfolio of stocks. 34% of that is in Microsoft. 16.8% is in Berkshire B shares. 16.3% is in Canadian National Railway. That's a really interesting one. And then 14.9% is in Waste Management. The first one that I want to look at is Microsoft. This is obviously the biggest holding, but that hasn't always been the case. And the value of the shares of Microsoft that the trust holds really depends on how much in donations it gets from Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. And you can see that they made billions of dollars worth of donations prior to this reporting in 2017 and then again in 2022. So that's why this has grown to be such a significant percentage of the portfolio. And you can see that over the last couple of years, the percentage of the portfolio has gone up as the stock price has gone up. But they've actually been selling shares slowly but surely, particularly in the fourth quarter. About a million shares worth of stock was sold, but they're also getting dividends from this stock. So this would be one of those stocks that is going to be paying the fund to do its operations, even if you keep the holdings constant over time. The Berkshire Hathaway holding is a little bit different. This is one that has been sold over time. And you can see that it looks like there is an annual cadence to gifts that are given to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Happens in the third quarter of each year. And then that stock is sold off over time. For a period of time in 2012, this was worth almost half of what the foundation had, but that's now down to about 16%. That's for a couple of reasons. One is the selling of the stock itself. The other is the fact that these other donations have come in from assets like Microsoft stock and the Canadian Railway stock as well. So that's why this is not a percentage that it once was, but still a really large holding for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The third one to look at is Canadian National Railway. And the spike that happened in 2022. This is a stock that has been donated to the foundation previously, but in 2022, there was a big donation of 44.5 million shares of Canadian National Railway as part of a $20 billion pledge to the foundation by Bill Gates. Now, this does appear to come from Melinda French Gates and she also owns an additional 15.3 million shares of Canadian Railway stock after this gift went through. So again, here's one of these companies that they have owned for quite a while. Ironically, a tech investor like Bill Gates is pretty heavily invested in companies that are doing industrial things, railways, waste management, land. So not necessarily investing all that money back into technology, but more keeping it in safer assets. And that's, I think, the way to look at this is a relatively safe asset for this fund to own. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. The final one that I wanted to look at was Waste Management. Waste Management is a stock that I couldn't find records of this being a significant contribution from Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or anyone else, but seems to be a stock that they're buying within the fund, and probably for good reason. This is another one of those safe companies that's going to generate consistent cash flow over time. It also pays a fairly modest dividend of 1.4%. So that's going to be the kind of funds that they're going to be able to use to fund their operations and avoid potential losses in the portfolio. So I think that's the way to think about these, but really interesting for stocks that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust owns. Obviously, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway, and Canadian Railway, three that are coming from their largest donors. That's Bill and Melinda Gates and also Warren Buffett. And then Waste Management is another company that has been added to the portfolio. It's interesting to see that they're not diversifying this a little bit more. They're just keeping this in the companies that these donations are coming through. And I think part of that is because if you start selling off this stock in mass, then you start affecting the stock price and the valuation for owners in their personal portfolios as well. So we have seen Berkshire Hathaway sell off. So we have seen shares of Berkshire Hathaway sold off. In time, we will probably see the same with Microsoft, but it doesn't happen in one fell swoop, and it's not used to diversify the portfolios. But let's go back to that portfolio overall, because the other companies in here I think are generally interesting because they're so industrial in nature and not technology. Caterpillar, Deere, Ecolab, there's a Coca-Cola distributor. Walmart is one of the larger holdings at about 1% of the portfolio. So this is a relatively risk-averse portfolio, and that does make sense given the fact that it's a nonprofit company. The goal of the portfolio is not necessarily price appreciation of these stocks, but is actually to fund the work that the nonprofit is doing. But given the significant value, over $40 billion invested in these companies, it's pretty notable that Bill and Melinda Gates and the foundation have such a concentrated portfolio in these four stocks. So what do you think about the Bill and Melinda Gates portfolio, foundation portfolio, the concentration? Love to hear your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.